My name is Leo. I turned 9 last week. Mom said she wanted this birthday to feel special because it was the first one without Dad. She said we should make new memories, start fresh, leave the sad stuff behind. I pretended to believe her, but the house still felt empty, no matter how many balloons she hung or how loud she played the radio. We lived in a small beige house at the end of a quiet street. The kind of neighborhood where lawns all looked the same and people waved without knowing each other's names. Since Dad's accident, everything had gone quieter. The TV stayed off most nights, and Mom barely cooked. The house had started to smell like detergent and dust, and sometimes when I walked down the hall, I could still smell Dad's cologne. On the morning of my birthday, the sun came through the curtains in stripes. I sat at the kitchen table while Mom made pancakes, humming off-key to some old song from the radio. She smiled more that day than she had in months. "Big 9, she said, putting a candle on my plate. "You're growing fast." "Not that fast," I told her. "Still can't reach the top shelf." She laughed. It sounded tired but real. After breakfast, she told me there was a surprise waiting for me in the living room. I ran there and saw a big box wrapped in shiny paper with animals printed on it. Lions, giraffes, monkeys, elephants. The tag said, "To Leo with love." For Mom. Inside was a toy set called the Plush Zoo. There was a lion, an elephant, a giraffe, a monkey, and a crocodile. Each one soft and bright, smelling faintly like new fabric. The lion had glass eyes that gleamed even in dim light. The monkey's grin looked crooked, almost human. The elephant's trunk was stitched with delicate thread. Mom said she saw the set in an old toy store downtown. "They told me it's vintage," she said. "Some company that doesn't exist anymore." I remember shrugging. They looked cute, like the kind of thing I used to sleep with when I was little. "Thanks, Mom." She smiled, kissed my head, and said, "You always liked animals." That night, she let me stay up a little later. We watched a movie together, something funny, though I can't remember the name. I laughed when she laughed. It felt normal almost. When I finally went to bed, I set the Plush Zoo on my shelf and stared at them in the dark. They sat perfectly still, side by side like a little family. I turned off the light and listened to the hum of the heater. But as the house settled into silence, I started hearing something else. A faint rustle. It came from the direction of the shelf. I opened my eyes, thinking maybe it was the curtains moving. But the air was still. The sound came again. A soft scritch, like claws brushing against wood. Then I heard a small, breathy giggle. I froze under the blanket. My mouth went dry. "Mom," I whispered. No answer. I forced myself to look toward the shelf. The toys were still sitting there, but the shadows behind them looked different, thicker. I blinked, and for just a second, I thought I saw one of them move. The monkey's arm twitched just barely. I squeezed my eyes shut and told myself I was imagining it. When I woke up the next morning, the toys were where I left them. Sunlight poured into the room, and everything seemed fine again. Mom made waffles. She looked happier than usual, humming again. I didn't tell her about the noises. That night, though, it happened again. Around midnight, I woke up to the sound of something falling. A thump, then a shuffle. I reached for my flashlight and clicked it on. The lion had fallen from the shelf. It sat upright in the middle of the floor, facing my bed. My heart started pounding. I stared at it for a long time, waiting for it to move. It didn't. I picked it up with shaky hands and put it back on the shelf. Its glass eyes reflected the beam of my flashlight, and for a moment, I could have sworn one of them blinked. The next morning, Mom noticed I looked tired. "You okay, honey?" "Just bad dreams," I said. She nodded. "You've been having a lot of those lately." I wanted to tell her about the lion, about the sound, the blinking, but the words got stuck in my throat. That afternoon, I played in the yard. The grass was dry and brown, and the air smelled like rain was coming. I saw a squirrel run along the fence and thought about how quiet the neighborhood had gotten. Fewer cars, fewer kids outside. Even the birds seemed to sing less. That night, Mom kissed my forehead and said goodnight. I watched her close the door, her shadow fading down the hall. I turned toward the shelf again. The lion wasn't there. I checked the floor. Nothing. Then I felt something touch my foot. I jerked back, pulling my legs to my chest. The lion was sitting at the end of the bed, staring at me. I didn't scream. I couldn't. Its mouth opened just a little, enough for me to see the black thread that held its smile together. Then it said, barely a whisper, "Don't tell." I threw it across the room. It hit the wall and slid down, landing face down. I turned on the lamp, shaking. The lion lay still. I sat awake until dawn. When Mom came in, she saw me sitting there with the light still on. "You didn't sleep?" I just shook my head. She sighed. "I think we should put the toys away for now. Maybe they're giving you nightmares." She reached for the lion. I don't know why I yelled, but I did. "Don't touch them." She froze, surprised. "Leo, what's wrong with you?" I didn't have an answer. I just felt cold, like someone had poured ice water through my veins. She stared at me for a moment, then left the room. That night, I dreamed of a forest made of fabric. The trees were soft, their leaves cotton white. The air shimmered like dust in sunlight. The animals were there, the same ones from my room, but bigger. Their colors glowed, their smiles wider. The lion looked at me and said, "Welcome, Leo. We've been waiting." I woke up sweating, heart hammering. The toys sat quietly on the shelf again, but I couldn't shake the feeling that they knew I'd seen them somewhere real. The next few days passed quietly, but not peacefully. I couldn't shake the feeling that something in the house had changed. The air felt heavier, like the walls were listening. Even the light seemed dimmer, softer, as if it didn't want to touch certain corners. Mom started working later, leaving me home alone after school. She said her boss needed her more these days, that extra hours would help us get back on our feet. I didn't like it. The house felt wrong when it was just me. I tried to distract myself. Homework, video games, cartoons, but my eyes always drifted toward the shelf. The toys never moved when I looked at them, but I could feel it. The tension, like they were holding their breath, waiting for me to look away. One afternoon, I found a monkey sitting on my desk chair. I hadn't moved it. I stared at it for a long time, wondering if Mom had done it to scare me, but she was at work. The monkey's glass eyes caught the light in a way that made them look wet. I picked it up and put it back on the shelf, but when I turned around, there was something carved into the wood of the desk. "Play." The letters were jagged, uneven. I ran my finger over them and felt the splinters. When Mom got home, I didn't tell her. I was tired of her not believing me. That night, she made mac and cheese. I tried to act normal. She smiled, said I looked pale. Maybe you're coming down with something, she said. You should get more sleep. I nodded, but sleep was the last thing I wanted. When I went to bed, the air was colder than usual. I pulled the blanket up to my chin and stared at the ceiling. The wind brushed the window, making the curtains sway. Then I heard the sound again, a soft pat, pat, pat of little feet moving across the floor. I didn't move. The sound stopped at the foot of my bed. Then came a whisper, "Leo." I wanted to scream, but my throat wouldn't work. Something climbed onto the mattress. The weight was small but real. The blanket shifted as it crawled closer. I could feel warm breath on my cheek. I turned slowly. The lion's face was inches from mine. Its eyes glowed faintly, golden like candlelight. Its stitched mouth moved. "Don't tell," it said again. Then it smiled wider, and I saw real teeth, small, white, perfect where the thread used to be. I threw the blanket off and ran to Mom's room. I shook her awake, crying. "They're moving. The toys are moving." She sat up, groggy, confused. "Leo, stop. It's just another nightmare. Please, Mom." They talked to me. Her face softened. She pulled me in her arms. "Honey, I know it's been hard. Losing your dad, it's confusing. But your toys aren't alive." "They are," I whispered. "They don't want me to tell you." She sighed, tired and sad, and told me to sleep in her bed. I did, but I couldn't close my eyes. The door to her room was slightly open, and through the crack, I could see my bedroom across the hall. The light from the hallway hit the floor just enough to show shadows moving inside my room. Little shapes, crawling. The next morning, Mom decided to call someone. A therapist, I think. She said maybe talking to a nice lady would help me deal with my imagination. I didn't want to go. I told her she didn't understand. She just looked at me and said, "I'm trying, Leo. I really am." That afternoon, when I got home from school, something smelled strange. Sweet and rotten at the same time. The smell led me to my room. The crocodile was sitting on my bed, its mouth open. Inside, something dark and wet. I stepped closer. It was a dead mouse. I screamed. Mom came running, saw the mess, and gasped. "Oh my God, Leo. What? How?" It wasn't me. She picked up the toy with a tissue, holding it at arm's length. "You're not keeping this thing in the house," she said, marching toward the trash bin. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about the sound it made when she threw it away. A dull, heavy thud, like it was made of more than stuffing. When I went to bed, I stared at the empty space on the shelf where the crocodile used to be. The others looked smug somehow, like they knew something I didn't. I woke up around 3 a.m. to the sound of metal scraping against tile. The garbage can. I crept to the window and looked outside. The lid of the trash bin was open. Something was moving inside it. Then I saw it. A small, green shape crawling out, dragging itself toward the house. The crocodile. Its stitches were torn, and something dark oozed from its mouth. It moved slowly but with purpose, like it knew exactly where it was going. I backed away from the window, trembling. In the hallway, I heard footsteps, not heavy like Mom's, but soft, uneven, like fabric brushing against the carpet. They stopped outside my door. Then a low growl. "Don't throw us away." The next morning, Mom found muddy footprints in the hall. Small, animal-shaped. She tried to laugh it off. "Maybe you tracked in dirt yesterday," she said. But I saw her hands shaking as she cleaned them. She started checking on me more often after that. Asked if I was okay, if I'd seen or heard anything strange. I said no, because I'd learned something. When I talked about them, they got worse. At school, I stopped talking to anyone. My teacher asked if everything was fine at home. I told her yes, but every time I blinked, I saw flashes, golden eyes, yarn teeth. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Mom started crying more often. I'd hear her at night through the wall, whispering on the phone. Words like stress, delusions, grief. I didn't care what she thought. I just wanted them gone. So I made a plan. I waited until the weekend when Mom went grocery shopping. Then I took the lion, the elephant, the giraffe, and the monkey and put them in a pillowcase. I carried it to the backyard and dug a hole behind the shed. The earth was cold and heavy, but I didn't stop until the hole was deep enough. I dropped the toys in and buried them, pressing the dirt down hard with my hands. When Mom came home, I told her I was playing outside. She smiled, relieved to see me acting normal again. That night, I slept better than I had in weeks, until I woke up to the sound of scratching under the bed. At first, it was soft, rhythmic, then louder, desperate. I leaned over the edge and looked down. The floorboards were bulging upward. Dirt spilled out from between them. Something was pushing its way through. I ran to Mom's room screaming, but when we came back with a flashlight, the floor was clean. The toys were sitting neatly on the shelf again, not a speck of dirt on them. Mom stared for a long time, her face pale. Then she said, "We're getting rid of them tomorrow." For real. I nodded, but deep down, I knew we wouldn't be the ones deciding that. Mom didn't sleep that night. I could hear her moving around the house, opening drawers, whispering to herself. When I got up the next morning, the toys were gone. The shelf was empty, clean. I felt a wave of relief, so strong, I almost cried. "They're outside," she said quietly. "In the trunk. We'll take them to the donation center later." I nodded, pretending to eat breakfast, even though I couldn't taste anything. For the first time in months, the house felt normal again. Sunlight filled the kitchen, warm and real. Mom looked tired but calm. She even put on lipstick before work. After she left, I stayed near the window, watching the driveway. I half expected to see something move inside the trunk of her car. Nothing did. Hours passed. I played video games, did my homework, tried to convince myself it was over. Then, around dusk, I saw something. Out by the car, one of the rear lights flickered. The trunk moved just a little, like something inside had shifted. I told myself the wind did it. That night, the house went quiet again. I brushed my teeth, climbed into bed, and told myself not to look at the shelf. But curiosity always wins. The shelf was empty, still empty. I smiled for the first time in days. Then the closet door creaked open. Slowly. Inside, two yellow eyes glowed back at me. The lion stepped out, fur matted with dirt, stitches frayed. It looked wrong, heavier than before. Behind it came the monkey, dragging something long and torn, the elephant's trunk. My mouth went dry. The lion spoke softly. "We don't like being locked away, Leo." I scrambled off the bed and ran for the door, but the giraffe's neck shot out from the darkness. wrapping around my arm. The fabric felt alive, pulsing. "Let go!" I screamed, kicking it away. The seam split, releasing a puff of white stuffing. The lion growled, "You shouldn't have buried us." I bolted out into the hallway and nearly collided with Mom. She grabbed my shoulders, terrified. "Leo, what's happening?" "They're back. The toys." She glanced past me into the room, but when she turned on the light, the closet was empty. The shelf spotless. "Leo," she said softly, trembling, "I think we need to get you help." "I'm not crazy," I shouted. Her face broke. "I know you're scared, but there's nothing there." She knelt beside me, holding my hands. "You have to stop giving them power." But I saw something behind her, a flicker of movement on the wall, a shadow with a tail. I didn't say a word. That night, she sat by my bed until I fell asleep. I woke up to the sound of her voice. At first, I thought she was on the phone again, but then I realized she was talking to someone in my room. Her words were shaky, quiet. "Please leave him alone." I sat up slowly. The room was dark except for the faint orange glow of the streetlight outside. Mom stood near the shelf. She wasn't looking at me. She was looking at them. The lion's eyes glowed faintly. The monkey hung from the edge of the shelf by its tail, swaying. Mom whispered, "Take me instead." The lion tilted its head. "We already have." I screamed her name. The light flickered. When I opened my eyes again, she was gone. The police came the next day. They searched every room, every closet, the yard, even the crawl space under the house. No sign of her. They asked me questions I couldn't answer. "Did you see anyone? Hear anything?" I told them the truth. They didn't believe me. One of them looked around my room, frowning. "These toys, they look old." I turned. The Plush Zoo sat neatly on the shelf again, clean and perfect, as if nothing had ever happened. The officer reached out to touch the lion. I wanted to tell him not to. The lion's mouth twitched into a smile. That's when the lights went out. A loud thud came from a hallway. By the time the lights came back on, the officer was gone. The other cops said he must have gone to check outside, but I knew better. That night, I stayed locked in my room. I didn't eat, didn't move. I just watched the shelf. They didn't move either. But every now and then, I heard breathing that didn't belong to me. When I finally fell asleep, I dreamed of the forest again. It was brighter this time, glowing like morning sunlight through cotton. The air was warm, the sky a soft yellow. The animals walked in circles around me, humming a tune that sounded like a lullaby. The lion stepped forward. His voice echoed inside my head. "Here, there's no pain, no fear, no sadness." I said, "I want my mom." "She's here," he said. I turned, and there she was, standing between the trees, her eyes blank buttons sewn into place. "Stay," she whispered. "It's better here." When I woke up, my pillow was damp with tears, and there, sitting on top of it, was a small piece of white thread, the kind used for sewing. It was tangled around a strand of hair. Mom's hair. I stayed home from school that week. The neighbors brought food. The social worker came. She talked to me like I was made of glass. They asked if I wanted to stay with my aunt for a while. I said no, because I couldn't leave them alone. If I did, I knew they'd follow. The nights became longer. The forest came every time I closed my eyes. Sometimes I saw other kids there, children I didn't recognize, walking hand in hand with stuffed animals. They smiled, but their eyes were dull like glass. The lions said, "They're happy now. You'll be too." I tried to run, but the ground stretched beneath me like a carpet being pulled away. He said, "You belong to the zoo, Leo. You've always belonged." I woke up gasping, clawing at my chest. My skin burned where my shirt touched it. When I pulled it up, I saw a faint line of stitches running across my ribs. That's when I knew I couldn't fight them anymore. I stopped going to school after that week. The social worker said she'd check in again, but she never did. The house grew quiet again, too quiet. I started talking less, eating less, sleeping even less. I spent most of my time sitting in the hallway outside my room, staring at the closed door. Sometimes I could hear them whispering inside. Not words, exactly sounds. Soft clicks, giggles, a low humming. When I did sleep, the dreams came faster. The felt forest wasn't warm anymore. The sky was darker, the trees heavier, their branches sagging with thread. The air smelled like dust and mold. The lion walked beside me. His mane shimmered, but underneath the yarn, I could see something darker, bone or maybe metal. He said, "It's time to let go of the old world, Leo. It doesn't love you back." I woke up screaming. That morning, the kitchen smelled strange. I thought maybe food had gone bad, but when I checked the fridge, everything was clean. Then I noticed the smell was coming from the sink. There was a red stain inside it. Dried. I touched it, and my stomach turned. It wasn't ketchup. It was blood. I backed away slowly, but then I saw them. The toys were sitting on the counter in a perfect line. All 5 of them again. The crocodile was back, its stitches new, its eyes brighter than before. The lion's mouth moved. She didn't understand. "But you do." I grabbed a knife. My hand was shaking so badly, I almost dropped it. "Stay away from me." The monkey tilted its head. "We already are with you." I swung the knife at them, but when it hit the counter, they were gone. Just like that, I ran to the living room, locking the door behind me. The house creaked around me, wood shifting like it was breathing. I turned on every light, but they flickered. The phone rang. I froze. It hadn't rung in days. I picked it up, whispering hello. Static, then a voice. It sounded like Mom. "Leo, come home." My chest tightened. "Mom? Where are you?" She laughed softly. "I am home." The line went dead. I dropped the phone. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. The lights flickered again, and when they came back on, the toys were in the room. The lion sat on the couch, staring at me. The others stood behind him. "Mom is waiting," the lion said. I shook my head. "She's gone." He smiled. "No, Leo. She's here. She just found her true form." I took a step back. "You're lying." The monkey giggled. "We don't lie." The lion's head tilted. "You miss her, don't you?" I couldn't speak. He pointed toward the hallway. "Then go see her." I didn't want to. Every part of me screamed not to. But something made me move anyway. I walked down the hall, the floor creaking beneath my feet. The door to Mom's room was open. I stepped inside. The smell hit me first, sweet, rotten, like old flowers and spoiled milk. The curtains were drawn, the room dim. She was sitting on the bed, back turned to me. "Mom." She didn't move. I took a step closer. "Mom, please say something." Her head turned slowly. The light caught her face. Her eyes were buttons, black and shiny. Her mouth was stitched into a soft smile. "Don't cry, honey," she said, voice flat and hollow. "We can be together now." I screamed and ran. The lion's voice followed me down the hall. "Don't run from family." I slammed my bedroom door and locked it, pushing my dresser in front of it. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely breathe. Then the knocking started. Slow, heavy. "Leo." I backed away, tripping over the edge of my rug. "Open the door," Mom said, her voice cracking into something not human. "It's time to play." I grabbed the flashlight and hid in the closet. The smell of dust filled my nose. Then the floor under me started to move. Soft, muffled thumps, like paws. The toys whispered through the crack of the door. "You'll see soon. You'll see everything." I closed my eyes and covered my ears, but the whispers were inside my head now, overlapping voices. The lion's deep and calm, the monkey's high and sharp, the elephant's low rumble. They said the same words again and again. "You belong." The door creaked open. Light spilled into the room, dim and golden, like from a candle. They were all there. The lion, the giraffe, the elephant, the monkey, and the crocodile. Behind them stood Mom, her button eyes glinting. The lion stepped forward, holding something in his paw. It was a mirror. The surface shimmered, foggy and soft, like silk underwater. "Look," he said. I shook my head. "No." "Look," he repeated, firmer this time. I couldn't stop myself. In the reflection, I didn't see my room. I saw the forest, the same one from my dreams. The trees swayed gently, leaves made of fabric. The ground pulsed like it was alive. "You've already been there," the lion said. "You just keep waking up." Mom placed her hand on my shoulder. Her skin felt wrong, too smooth, too light. "It's better there, Leo," she whispered. "You'll understand once you let go." I tried to pull away, but the lion grabbed my wrist. His touch burned. "Stop fighting," he said. "We're trying to save you." I kicked, screamed, but didn't matter. The air around me felt thick, heavy. The mirror pulsed brighter, pulling me closer. The toys began chanting softly, voices overlapping in perfect rhythm. "Forever play. Forever stay." I could feel it, the pull, the warmth, the air thick with dust and light. Then I heard something, laughter, my own. It was coming from inside the mirror. I looked and saw myself standing there, smiling, eyes like black buttons. He waved. "Come on," he said in my voice. "You like it here?" The lion leaned close to my ear. "It's already happening. You just haven't noticed." I looked down. My hand were turning pale, fuzzy, threads curling where my veins should be. I fell to my knees. The floor beneath me rippled like fabric. The lion smiled. "Almost home." The light from the mirror grew stronger until it filled the whole room. It wasn't blinding. It was soft, warm, like sunlight through a curtain. For a second, I wasn't scared anymore. I felt calm. The lion stood in front of me, the others forming a circle around him. Their shadows flickered on the walls like flames. "This world hurts you, Leo," he said. "People forget. They leave. They die. But here, you can stay. Here, no one ever goes away." Mom knelt beside him, her button eyes glinting. "He's right," she whispered. "There's nothing left for you out there." I shook my head, tears spilling down my face. "I don't want to stay here. I just want you back." She smiled, but it wasn't her smile anymore. It was stitched too tight. "You already have me." The mirror shimmered again, and this time I could see more clearly what was on the other side. A field of cotton grass that stretched forever. Children running, laughing, holding hands with animals that looked like living toys. The sky glowed with soft yellow light, and the air sparkled with dust that never settled. It looked peaceful, beautiful even, but beneath that calm, I felt something wrong. The laughter wasn't right. It was hollow, repeating the same notes over and over, like a broken recording. And the children, their smiles never changed. Their eyes didn't blink. They weren't alive. They were like the toys. I backed away. No, I don't belong there. The lion's expression softened. "You already do." He raised his paw. The room shook. The walls rippled like fabric in the wind. Stuffing began to fall from the ceiling like snow. Threads uncoiled from the corners. The floor softened beneath my feet. The whole house was changing, turning into fabric into their world. The giraffe bent its neck down and whispered, "The portal's ready." The elephant blew through its trunk, a low, rumbling sound that made the walls tremble. The monkey started laughing, spinning in circles, its arms flailing like ribbons. And the crocodile, he was just smiling, always smiling. I stumbled backward, reaching for the door, but it wasn't there anymore. Just a wall of yarn and stitching. Mom reached for me again, her voice breaking. "Don't fight it, sweetheart. It's easier if you don't fight." "Why me?" I cried. The lion tilted his head. "Because you were chosen. The zoo always finds those who are lonely." "I'm not lonely," I shouted. He smiled. "Everyone says that before they join." The toys began chanting again, their voices echoing from everywhere at once. "Forever play. Forever stay." The mirror pulsed brighter, pulling at me, threads curling up my arms, wrapping around my skin like vines. I tried to scream, but the sound came out muffled, soft like air through cloth. My legs gave out. My hands, no, not hands anymore. They were fabric. Seams ran up my wrists. My fingers bent the wrong way, light and hollow. "Stop!" I cried, but the lion only smiled. "You're perfect." He placed his paw on my chest. "Welcome home." I felt something snap, a sound like tearing fabric, but from inside me. And then everything went quiet. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't in my room anymore. I was standing in the forest. The felt trees swayed above me, their branches stitched with golden thread. The air was thick and sweet, like old sugar. The ground was soft under my feet. I looked down and saw I was barefoot, but my feet weren't skin. They were pale, stitched, stuffed. I touched my face. My fingers brushed thread. My mouth curved into a smile I couldn't control. The lion stood before me, larger now, glowing faintly under the cotton sky. He said, "See, it doesn't hurt anymore." Mom appeared beside him. She looked younger somehow, her dress clean and new. She took my hand. Her touch was warm, but not real. "This is forever," she said softly. Behind her, The other children played among the trees. Some sang, some built things out of scraps of cloth. A boy with a missing button for an eye waved at me. I recognized him. The kid from the missing poster on the telephone pole near school. I looked at the lion. "How long have you been doing this?" He laughed, a deep, rumbling sound. "Since the first lonely child picked up the first toy." I wanted to cry, but no tears came. Stuffed faces don't cry. Days, or something like days, passed. I don't know if time works here. The light never changes. The forest never ends. We don't sleep. We don't eat. We just exist. Sometimes the lion gathers us around and tells stories. Stories about the children who came before. He says they're part of the zoo now, too. Every zoo needs new animals, he says. Every child who's forgotten becomes one of us. The monkey giggles, swinging from the fabric trees. The crocodile drifts through the river of thread, smiling. And me? I don't feel like Leo anymore. I remember my name, my house, my mom's voice, but it all feels far away, fading like a dream. The lion says that's good. That means the stitching is complete. But sometimes when the forest goes quiet, I think I still hear things from the other side. The hum of a refrigerator, the creak of floorboards, a voice calling my name. Leo. It sounds like Mom, but softer. Fainter. Maybe she's trying to reach me. Maybe she's still out there somewhere. Or maybe it's just the zoo calling for another visitor. Because last night I saw something new. A shimmer in the air, like a curtain lifting. Through it, I saw a bedroom, bright clean, with a shelf full of toys. A little boy sat on the bed, smiling at a birthday present wrapped in colorful paper. On the box were the words, "The Plush Zoo, real magic for real imagination." He started unwrapping it. I wanted to shout, to warn him, but my voice came out small, muffled like the soft squeak of a stuffed toy. The lion placed a paw on my shoulder. "Let him open it," he said. "Every zoo needs a new keeper." The boy tore the paper. Inside were the 5 toys: the lion, the giraffe, the monkey, the elephant, and the crocodile. And one more, a small stuffed boy with yellow yarn hair and a red shirt. He looked just like me. As the boy lifted me out of the box, my stitched mouth stretched into a smile. Somewhere deep inside, a voice, maybe my own, whispered through the cotton and the seams. "Welcome to the Plush Zoo." And this time, I meant it.